You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Are you ready to learn the 3 secrets to launching a successful podcast? Hi, I'm Bill, a recent client of the Podcast Mogul. If you've been thinking about starting a podcast but aren't sure where to begin, he's got you covered. He is hosting a free webinar where he will share the 3 secrets that can help you launch, grow, and monetize your podcast without any fancy equipment or technical headaches. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot now and let him help get your podcast off the ground.
Welcome to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Join the podcast mogul Phil Better as he interviews successful entrepreneurs that make their living in the digital world. Now, let's join your host, Phil Better, and his special guest today on Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast.
Welcome to another enlightening episode of Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Phil Better, the podcast mogul, and today we have an extraordinary guest who is dedicated to helping others unlock their full potential and achieve their business dreams. Our guest hails from humble beginnings in a small Alabama town, but his journey is a powerful testament to the transformational power of perseverance and ambition. Our guest is a growing small business owner, growth strategist, and business coach with nearly a decade of experience. He has led a small team within the architectural and engineering industry to achieve 7 figures of financial success. His expertise has been pivotal in helping aspiring business owners start their ventures and assisting existing small business owners in expanding across various industries, including construction, home services, consulting, insurance, cinematography, my specialty, or my love, hospitality, e-commerce, and so much more. His passion for personal and professional growth is fueled by his love for reading works by renowned self-help authors and entrepreneurs. He firmly believes that everyone has the seeds of greatness within them, and with the right nurturing, anyone can grow into the successful person and business owner they aspire to be. His early struggles in entrepreneurship inspired him to write a book aiming to fill the gap of accessible mentors and coaches. His mission is to minimize mistakes for new entrepreneurs, expand their thinking, and foster a productive and positive mindset towards overcoming business challenges. He is committed to being an active part of the solution, providing guidance and support for those who feel stagnant and uncertain about their path to success. So get ready to be inspired and empowered by his insightfulness and expertise. So please join me in welcoming the remarkable Jonathan Clark to Invest in Yourself, the Digital Entrepreneur Podcast. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Hey, Phil, man, I appreciate that remarkable, extraordinary introduction, man. Couldn't have said it better myself, right?
Well, I as my audience knows, I grew up in love with the 90s rap, and I could never drop bars. That's, as we can clearly see, I'm a little off color for it. But I always loved the hype mans. They were my favorite because they could hype up the crowd and then step off, and they still got the same love. So I look at myself as the hype man of entrepreneurs. I love hyping you guys up because you are doing amazing work in the world of entrepreneur and changing people's lives. So that I'm all up for hyping them up with the most amazing intros. So John, thank you for that. But we're gonna jump right into it. I want to know what made you decide to be first of all, be an architect and then become an entrepreneur architect. Because being an architect, you're going to work for someone else and you can go, I got my 9 to 5, I'm loving it. No stress about owning a business or managing a business. But you were like, nah, not this guy. I'm opening my own firm. I'm doing all this. And then you jump into the digital world. So let's start with, why did you become an entrepreneur?
Well, Phil, I appreciate those bars of introduction, man. No, those are great questions. So my story, I think, really starts, man, when I was a young kid. So to talk about first, kind of where I came from and what inspired me to just uh, want to get into architecture and then eventually, get into business, et cetera. So as you stated, like I grew up in a small town, Alabama. For most people that know the Alabama geography, it's on the western side of a small city called York, Alabama. It's if people know the football team, University of Alabama, we're about maybe 45 minutes from there. So I grew up there, man, and my mom worked in banking pretty much all her life, and my dad was in the army at the time. So he was kind of in and out, house of housewives, and so my mom really, for the most part, when we were really young, took care of us. But as I got older, I got to spend more time with my dad and develop a relationship with him. But during that time, and I had three brothers at the time, so it was four of us, all boys. And my mom, I don't to this day, man, I still don't know how she did it. Like, I think
I
she's
was about to ask, like, your
yeah,
mom's a super, like, she's Wonder Woman on steroids, taking care of
yeah,
like three boys. Woo-hoo.
yeah. I don't know how she took care of us. I think at the time, man, she was only carrying like a $30,000 salary or so. So I mean, like, in today's world, man, with kids, it's just impossible. But so I just watched her work really, really hard, And one of the things at the time, like we were renting a house, so just watching her work hard, and we had struggling financial times, but like we never missed a meal. It was one of those things where we grew up poorly, but it was something that taught me character. You know what I mean? So like just going through that, I wanted to repay my mom, and so I just hear her talk about owning a house and all these things like that. For most ladies, man, that's like the ultimate thing. After getting married and all this kind of other stuff, it's like the dream home, right? And so I said, well, I don't, I'm below labor laws, right? So I can't get out and work right now. So it's like, well, let me figure out what to do when I get older, and that's like, okay, to get to own a home, or to buy a home, or to build a home. It's like I want to learn how to be an architect. So that's kind of how it got started. Just my desire for that, and then I went from there to like getting into high school. At that time, we had moved from York, Alabama, to Huntsville, which is like right below Tennessee. It's northern Alabama. So I went to high school there, and it kind of opened my eyes up to other opportunities at the time. One of the things is there's a show called Shark Tank, and I know hopefully most entrepreneurs probably know what that is. There's so many seasons out at this point. But I remember when it first came out, the seasons first came out, man, I would binge watch, Shark Tank, and I don't know why I was so fascinated with it, but just the idea, man, of just taking life by the horns and just like being your creative self in the greatest light that you can be. It was just something that fascinated me about that. So I went through high school, and we were a part of this pilot program at the school called it was like an engineering thing. This was like when STEM was really getting like becoming a big thing, right? Science,
Yeah.
technology, engineering, mathematics. So I never forget, man. I had this one teacher called Jeremy Raper, and he kind of like I don't know. I guess he took interest, man, in my future because um, we had some good talks, and he kind of was a little bit like my guidance counselor at the time. And he said, "Man, like you're really creative. You're really you have a keen to detail and all these kind of other things. Like you might want to look into this thing called engineering." So then I went from there, and at the time I was getting ready to graduate, like start looking at colleges and programs, and yeah, I got into architecture and engineering, because it was deep down that's what I wanted to do, but I didn't quite know the process or how to get into it. And he really steered me in a direction to kind of close the gap on that. So yeah, man, I went from there. Went to school, undergraduate in engineering, and then I got my master's in architecture and was working the corporate like 9 to 5. Just a young guy, man, just trying to build his career up. And it was just the Shark Tank thing never left, man. It was one of those things where I just knew one day if somebody else could do something, I knew I could do it too. And um, I just wanted to be able to do it in the way that I felt that I could I could give back the most in terms of my like creativity, and the value that I could bring, man, the society in which I live in. So that kind of got me to like that point. And I can definitely go into more detail about like the nuances of how that happened. But yeah, I'll stop right there for a second.
No, I love it. I love how you knew early on you wanted to be an entrepreneur thanks to Shark Tank, which I'm in Canada, so we have a version called Dragon's Den, and two of our guys went down,
Oh yeah,
started,
I've seen a couple episodes of that.
yeah, with Mr. Wonderful, and Mr. Herjavec went down and started Shark Tank down there in the States. So yeah, I love that show. It's one of my favorite, just to sit and see all the creativity that is going on in the world from these business owners, and understand that they're getting so much free publicity that they don't even need the sharks at that point. Now they like, oh, I'm just going on because I want to make money.
Yeah, yeah.
But I love how that sparked your desire to be an entrepreneur. It called to you. When did you decide to go out on your own and make your own firm for architect? Like, that's a huge thing,
Mhm,
leaving a regular firm to start your own firm.
mhm.
What was the process like for you?
So when I started working, it was a couple of things I was trying to accomplish. Of course, is just to set a good financial foundation for myself. But on top of that, like, um, I just in the back of my mind, I always knew like wanted to do something for myself. So I worked really hard towards licensure. Like it's just like um anybody else in the medical profession, or lawyers and things like that. Like you have to be licensed to be an architect and engineer. So there's a full process, and early on, like I was very dedicated and diligent to like finish that process. Just because I knew what was ahead of me. I didn't quite know the how and when, but I just knew at some point like it'd be pivotal that I just take care of that. So I ended up doing that. But in the process, I kind of curated some thoughts around who else can maybe join me on this journey. So in 2016, I reached back out to like 40 of my peers, man, that I went to college with, and 8 of them came back and was like, "Man, this is a great idea. Like, I don't know how we're going to do it, but like, let's do it." So like, none of us, man, with like real business experience, started putting a business plan together in like 2016. So like, yeah, it took us like a year and a half to just I guess try to do as much homework as we could. And one of the things I point out in my book is like the SBA. Like, so the SBA is the organization that helps a lot of small business owners, and everything they do is free to us, because it's backed by the government. So like just knowing things like that, like little resources, man. So I took a couple courses and classes with the SBA, and they have business coaches and mentors, and just to like how do I get started? Like, what are the things I need to know? Like, I got an idea, a concept, or I know what I'm good at, but like what are the legal ramifications of like what I'm about to get into, and accounting, and like all this stuff that like you just have to learn. So we so we started there, man, and started putting together a business plan, and then in 2018 we actually incorporated.
Nice.
So yeah, that was the first time, man. Like my name was associated with ownership of of something that could hopefully one day pay me back, right?
Yeah.
So
You're starting your journey in life. That's
yeah,
amazing. I want to touch on something, and we'll let you
sure.
continue. The feeling in 2018 when you saw that your name was associated with the ownership of this firm that you set together
Hmm.
with 8 guys, or 8 people, sorry, don't want to
Hmm.
gender them. You set together with 8 people from your graduating class who are down to do the work with you. You
Hmm.
guys incorporate. What was the feeling for you? Like, I know you said it was a good feeling, like it was
Yeah,
nice to have your name,
yeah.
but with I'm guessing you celebrated with your family, like you're like, holy crap, this is a huge step.
Hmm.
Were your family helping you? Were they supportive of you going from, a very secure job? Because I know my
Hmm.
parents worked in finance as well, working for banks, and they're like, no, no, don't go for the bank. Don't be an entrepreneur. It's stupid. You need that safety. You need that, like,
Yeah.
that the gold watch after 25 years,
Hmm.
that they no longer give us. But what was your family's reaction when you were like, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. I have to I have to pay for
Yeah.
shit now. Like, what was their reaction to you becoming an entrepreneur?
So Phil, I'll tell you, man, and for everybody that's listening, hopefully this is something that you can really chew on and really think about. So um, in, when you make that kind of jump to do something, you think that or you hope that like most people are going to support you, right? And
Mhm.
then in all honesty, a lot of times, man, you're on an island by yourself for a little while. So there's usually phases that you go through. So usually you have an idea, a concept. If you can rally people around that, like that's great, man. Like I was able to rally a small team, at the beginning, which is not always like the case for everybody.
No, you were
So I
very
was,
lucky.
yeah, I was very fortunate, man. I was very blessed. Like I thank God every day for that. And so like everybody's excited. So you start out like with like just pure energy, pure excitement. You got your whole life in front of you, kind of thing. And then and then you start doing the work, man, and like reality starts to set in. And then like that's when you actually become an entrepreneur. When you start like on this imaginary cliff, and then you hit rock bottom, and then you have to build like claw your way out, man, to Mount Everest kind of thing, right? But like my my parents in my family, like my family is actually really supportive, which is again like another blessing. But they were initially they were not like, because like nobody in my family really had done business before. So like I was kind of like the black sheep, where I kind of jumped out there. I didn't quit my job all the way when we first started. So I kind of like I'll talk about that, how we transition, but it went from like getting incorporated, and then it took me about a year to like do a full transition. And so so they were like supportive, but they were not like, it kind of like, oh well, how's the business, kind of like very sarcastically, not really sure if it's a real business, you know what I mean, like.
Is
and,
this
and
just
so
a
like
little
now,
a hobby that he's
yeah,
doing?
it's
Oh,
just
he'll
like,
grow up soon and forget about. Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of like, they'll entertain a conversation not to hurt my feelings, right? But now it's like a completely different story. It's more of like, so what's going on with your business, man? Where you gonna be at this week? Kind of. So it's like it went from, I'll entertain it not to hurt his feelings, to like I really really want to know what's going on, because this is amazing. So so like my mom, she's super protective, and one of the things I'll say, like I said, one of the things you can chew on is like sometimes the people that actually love and care for you in life, they can actually hinder you, sometimes, by trying to just being protective.
Mhm.
But it's like one of those things where they kind of got to let you go, right, and like kick you out of the net sometimes, the nest, so that you can spread your wings and fly. So my mom's like one of those persons who she's just really overprotective, and for her not to have done a business before, it was very hard, for her to come to grips with like, I quit my job. So when I did it, like the year later, when I started it, and I was like, I was getting clients and stuff like that. And here's when I knew, I was like, okay, I gotta jump ship. Was like I started to have to be, like on my lunch break, I started to have to go serve clients on my lunch break. And I was like, all right, yeah, this is too much. Like I'm working at night. Well, I'm working during the day, doing business at night on the weekends, and then once it started to seep into like my lunch hour, or you know what I mean, like my actual work day, I was like, all right, I think it's time. So then a year later, I jumped ship, and I didn't even tell my mom at first. And
Ooh.
here's the funny story how she found out, right? So, so my mom like, moms know their kids, right? And so she knows like I'm a high energy, uh, you know, sometimes a little bit tense, but like, like I'm always doing something. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I'm never. She usually ever sees me relaxed, and so I came home for Christmas, and this was I think 2019, the Christmas of 2019, right before 2020. I came home for Christmas, and I had stayed for like 2 weeks, and she didn't say anything, and she was just like he's just hanging around the house, like he's been here for more than past Christmas, more than just a couple of days. And then she finally asked me, she's like, "Did you quit your job?" Like, yeah, yes, man, I quit my job. Yeah. So it's like one of those things, man. And because like it, one of the things you have to be careful about is like taking other people's opinion, and again, when I say be careful, it's like whoever opinion that you take, you're usually going to end up with their lifestyle, because they're giving you their opinion from their perspective. And so like my mom not having that background, and just having a little bit of fear jumping out there, she would have tried to convince me not to do it,
Mhm.
right? And again, out of love though, right? So that's why I didn't tell her. Like I was just one of those things, man. I prayed on it, and it's just something that was strong in my heart. Is I really think I can do this. So yeah, so like I said, man, we kind of started with excitement, and then we hit like some rough patches, and then like we were able to claw ourselves out, man. So now that the 7-figure business, and it's growing rapidly. So it's amazing, man. It's quite the rush.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
that you knew your mom would be like right on you, like, what are you doing? You can't quit. No, no. You're like, I'm gonna keep this ace in the hole for now until Mama
Yeah.
Bear is
Yeah.
like, I'm good. Like Mama doesn't have to worry. Because like all moms, they want to protect you, they want to make sure you're
Yeah.
safe, they don't want you hurt, they don't want to see you
Yeah.
struggle. So it comes from a
Well,
deep, deep place of love, right?
exactly. And but on the flip side of that though, is those struggles and those things that you have to go through is what makes you who you are.
Mhm.
'Cause I mean, let's just face it, honestly, man, an entrepreneur, you're going to fail more than you are going to be successful. So you have to learn how to fail, but do it in a way where you don't hurt yourself. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
just you're just failing forward. That's all you're doing.
I like to look at fail as an acronym for first attempt in learning, because you're learning
Yeah.
something, right?
Yep.
You're an entrepreneur. You don't know what you don't know, right? Everybody
That's
goes
true.
in, oh, entrepreneurship is simple, it's easy. They get into it, and then they're like, wait, it's this. There's
Yeah.
accounting. There's,
Yeah.
the laws. You got to incorporate. You got to do this. You got to do this. You
Yeah.
need business plan. You need bank accounts. Then you have to go get clients. Like, wait,
Yeah.
how do you get clients?
It's oh man. Yeah,
It is.
entrepreneurship is a lifestyle, man. It's not just a word. It's a lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle. And when did you decide? Okay, you quit your job.
Mhm.
You're 100% in your firm with your colleagues. You're building business. When did you decide to write the book? Was it before you jumped ship, or was it after you have jumped ship?
No, it was after. So I went in full time. So we started business 2018. I went in full time in 2018, and then like my partners kind of trickled in as we grew.
Mm.
Um, and then in 23 is when I wrote the book. And the reason, so here's the reason why I wrote the book actually, is because once I did it and I was starting to have success, and like a lot of people know me in terms of just always being progressive and like forward moving. um I think people, they always have like that inner desire, but sometimes like you don't see it because they're not in a circle with where that thing that they have an inner desire for is just like out on display. And so like they're a little bit afraid to share their inner desire sometimes. But when I was I was had became successful in it, like people started to share like their inner desires. Like I really want to do this kind of business. I want to do this. I want to do this. And it was friends. This was family. This was people I had good relationship on, on LinkedIn, like, other peers and associates and stuff. And they would just ask for advice. And I was just giving advice. And, I said, man, I keep getting asked like not the same questions, but like generally the same stuff that like everybody's thinking. So I said, well, I know it's really hard to find like a mentor that has two qualities, right? Which is one, they're available and accessible, and then two, they're actually willing to spend time with you and give you advice and give you mentorship. Like you got to have both of them to have a good relationship, because one or the other one, like some people may want to help you, but they don't have the knowledge. Like they've never
Mhm.
done a business, but they want to help you, so they're willing. But then on the flip side, there's people out there that can help you, but they just may not have the time. So I was like, I want to put something like a small book together, where it's not like a textbook per se, but it's not like one of those like 10-page ebooks kind of thing where
Mhm.
it's like right in the middle, where it's enough to like just expand on a little bit of the basics and everything that you will face like when you're trying to take that inner desire and figure out how to actually create a successful business out of it. So that's kind of where the book idea came from. And now, man, I even use it as like a business card. It's like I don't have a business card, but here, take my book, and I write my contact information in it.
That's a great business card to have, because
Yeah,
you're giving them knowledge. You're like, hey, you may want to talk to me. Call me after the book. Read the
yeah,
book. See if you want
exactly.
to talk with me. And then it also it helps you with getting the exact type of client you want.
Hmm.
Because if they don't read the book, they're not going to call you. So it's not a waste
Yeah.
of time for you. They're not kicking the tires. And when
Hmm.
they do read the book, they already know what you're about. They know what you
Yeah.
went through, and either it helps them enough that they can go off on their own, or they're like, all right, this man knows what he's about. He's done it. I'm going to ask him more questions, and that led to your job as a business coach, right? I'm guessing it happened in
Yeah,
2023 that the business coaching started.
yeah. So you hit it right on the head, and it was kind of a seamless transition. Because yeah, you're right. Like there are some people that they like to tough it out, man. They just figure everything out on on their own. And so just some of the nuggets in the book is all they all they want slash all they need. But then you have some people that they'll read the book and then they'll apply some of the things and then like figure out, oh, like this stuff works, and then they want more. And so yeah, so I've been kind of doing one-on-one coaching now, and trying to develop like a process how to start doing group coaching and things like that, because like I do still run my architecture engineering business, but then like I kind of do business coaching and consulting on my off time. So I don't work with a lot of people, but I do spend time with a few people as time opens up and it becomes available.
My question though is, now that you have your new 9 to 5 and you're starting the
Hmm.
side hustle on the side, kind of like you did before with
Yeah.
starting your architect, are you going to quote unquote jump ship once the business coaching starts interfering with your lunch hours?
I know, right? Let's talk about that. No, this is a great this is leading into a great conversation. Every business owner should have an exit strategy, and I think we don't talk about that enough as entrepreneurs. And so here's my exit strategy for my architecture and engineering business. It's to form a board of directors, right? Where basically I'm on the board, and now we hire a new CEO, CFO, all these key suite individuals. And so I'm not, I'm giving directive and I'm giving leadership and culture for my business, but there are people probably who's smarter than me that can actually manage and do the operations. So that's like my exit strategy from being tied to my architecture and engineering business from like a daily operations perspective.
I love that. I love how you're already looking to the future to exit out of the business that you
Hmm.
started, but not just exit out. You still want to have your hand on it. You still want to be a part of it, but you
Yeah.
understand that you have to be at the 30,000 feet level for the
Exactly. Yeah.
business, so you can build these other businesses and get those, as millionaires or billionaires now have, 7 streams of
Hmm.
incomes. That is the goal, so that you can have that freedom, so that you can spend time with your family, your mom, the 2 weeks at Christmas, make it a month at Christmas, and your mom's going to be
Exactly.
happy until the end. Then she's like, get out. You're eating all my food, get
Like
out.
you're here too long. Yeah.
Yeah, the food's gone. That was a month worth of groceries in a week. We need you out of here. um
Yeah.
I love how you're already looking for an exit strategy, but you're not looking to close down shop or sell the company.
No, no. I think, and this is just me. This may not be everybody's dream, but like I don't know. I just come from a background like where we didn't own much. So like ownership is like a big thing for me, and so to have something that we've been able to build from the ground, my goal is like I have a trust. I would encourage everybody to have a trust. So my goal is to retain that ownership, my business interest within that trust. So as I pass on, whatever I have in my trust, like it is still will have a piece of that ownership. And so the exit strategy, when I say exit strategy, I don't mean like give up full ownership of the business. What I mean is an exit strategy from the daily management of the business. And so you're not in a situation where you've created a job for yourself. You're actually like running a business and not like the business running you, basically.
I love that. I love that. And that's the next step in entrepreneurship. It's
Hmm.
the business not running you running the business, or you have people running your business so that you can
Hmm.
start the next venture in your life, the next chapter, which I'm interested in knowing. Let's click my fingers. We're 10 years in the future.
Mm.
What is John doing? Like, what is John accomplishing right now, or what has he accomplished in the last 10 years?
Yeah, that's a great exercise, man. I like how you frame it in past tense, and that's very helpful to actually get your subconscious mind, man, to start coming up with the things you need to do to make it happen. So 10 years from now, John has successfully implemented his exit strategy from his engineering architecture business. He has grown a community of other successful business owners through his coaching consultancy. Um, family life, of course, John's married, kids, like that kind of thing. And really, man, more travel, like honestly, more travel. That's a huge, just one of the things, that I play music, but I also like to travel. Like that's one of those are the things, the reasons why you get up and look forward to the weekends kind of thing, right? But I honestly, man, I love business, and so my whole goal is about creating strategic partnerships. And so why that's important to me is because m- I feel that the law of reciprocity kicks in. So Phil, if, like for example, if were you and I were working together in terms of helping you grow your business, and like you just had great success. I think the minute that you want to venture into something else, right, that may require additional partners, like whatever, like you're going to think of the person who kind of helped you get to where you are, so that like law of reciprocity kind of kicks in. And so just building that community of other people, um, who want to go and do bigger stuff. I think, as human beings, like we always want to expand. And so, I think it's just one of those great things, man, to have a community of people that you can expand with, who you've built, love, trust, admiration with, like those things. So that's kind of, to me, that's kind of my ultimate goal, is to build, that type of legacy, take that game plan and playbook and be able to share it with as many people as I can.
I love that. That's a huge dream to have, and I think it's a worthwhile dream to have, to be able to pass on a legacy. Like you said, it's your legacy to pass on for future generations. I love how the entrepreneurs I've talked with, and you of course are included in this, talk about legacy, because legacy is so important to us, because most of us only think about the now. We don't think about
Hmm.
the tomorrow, because we're stuck in this rat race, right?
Yeah.
And we never think about how we can help future generations. The old saying, like, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, the
It's
next
funny.
best
Yeah.
time is right now. And understand that we may not be able to enjoy the shade of that tree or the full
Yeah.
version of that tree, but we know that generations down, they're going to enjoy that shade of that tree, and you're creating the seeds for that money tree, if you will, to help
Hmm.
your future generations. um, I want to know, what is one thing, because you wrote your book. Um, what is one method in which you invest in yourself? How does John
Hmm.
go about investing in himself so that he can become the better version of John?
Yeah. I appreciate that question. So I'll put it this way: entrepreneurship has become it's become a lifestyle of like consistent growth. And until you embrace that, like it's going to be very hard to become a successful entrepreneur, because entrepreneurship, in order for you to be successful, it requires you to grow. It's almost like going through school, right? K through 12. Like you won't go to the next grade until you learn the lesson.
Mhm.
So it just requires you to grow. And when I say grow, I mean spiritually, um, you know, technical skills, like whatever your industry is. Emotional intelligence is huge. Like people skills, like no matter what business you get into, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be, you have to work with people, whether that's your clients or you're building a team that, works with your clients. Like, so understanding how culture works and all these things like that, and like leadership, um, all those things take time to learn. And you just, you have to commit to a lifestyle of learning. And it's like learning all these sorts of things that make people what we call great. So for me, like man, I don't watch TV anymore other than Shark Tank, right? But I
You
don't,
have to have that guilty
yeah,
pleasure. Everybody
like
has that guilty pleasure.
yeah, that's my cheat day. So outside of that, man, like I honestly, because I've set my life up almost to where I don't have time to watch TV, because I'm doing other growth activities, So if I'm not doing my business, I'm either eating, sleeping, or like reading, or you know what I mean, or like, so like it's sort of those kind of things. I'm trying to take care of my spiritual health, my mental health, my physical health. Um, and I don't know, like TV is just not in that equation. not
Hey,
not for me. So
hey, it's great. Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's a great point, that you're like, I have to limit the distractions in my life
Hmm.
so that I can get to the next level to become the person that I want to be. And I think a lot of people are scared to cut those distractions out because it gives them that safety of who they were.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
Mm.
everybody grew up with being distracted by the TV, losing the boredom
Yeah.
aspect, and not applying themselves in different aspects. And I love how you're like, I have my cheat day, I have Shark Tank, which is a great because it also can teach you about different versions. And you're like, oh,
Hmm.
there's something I can invest in. Maybe there's something that pops up, right?
Yeah.
But you're also like, I'm putting everything into becoming the best version of myself, which means I have to sacrifice
Yeah.
that joy, that dopamine rush you get when you watch like an excellent TV show or a movie or something like that.
Hmm.
When you're like, I'm gonna push that aside because right now I'm on a drive to become the best version of myself. And once I become that best version, then I can start, you know,
Yeah. Exactly.
adding some flavors into life to round
Yep.
out the rest of my life, to get back from sacrificing. But I also
Yeah.
love how you're like, I'm not sacrificing everything. I'm keeping the Shark Tank because that I can't give up. It's like me and an ice cap. I'm a Canadian. We have Tim Hortons
Yeah.
ice caps. I drink as many times as I've tried to cut it out of my life, it still comes back into me. So I've accepted. I'm like, I'm gonna have one a day. One
Yeah.
a day keeps
No,
Phil happy, right?
that's I appreciate the transparency and honesty, man. And again, you know, I'm not saying that we have to become robots. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just, yeah, like you said, it's about like entrepreneurship, man. Being successful in it is about discipline. And it is like you said, like knowing that um and sacrifice is more of about giving up something good temporarily in order to experience something great. So it's like a sacrifice that, you know, it's like you're not going in the wrong direction. You know, like you're actually going in a better direction. You just have to continuously renew your mind, you know, and just the way that you do things. So like, you know, some TV time I've replaced it with golf. So like it helps my physical. You know what I mean? Like
There you
so
go.
yeah. So you have to become a different person because the person who you are today, like okay, I'll put it to you this way. Let's chew on this. If I were to give you the things that you're asking for today, right? Like without developing those character traits, those skills, and all, like you wouldn't be able to maintain the amount of success that you're asking for. So therefore, you have to go through that time frame and that time period to develop those character traits, those skill sets, that discipline, those things, so that like when you get blessed with the thing you're asking for, you can actually maintain it. So it's kind if you look at it like that, then it's not so bad, right? You're like, oh, okay, like I can quote unquote sacrifice for a little while because if I get it today, it'll be gone tomorrow. If I
Mhm.
don't sacrifice, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Bible verse. You can bring a man to water, but you can't.
Yeah.
Or sorry, you can teach a man to. You can give a man a fish, you feed
Yep.
him for a day, but teach a man to
Hmm.
fish, he feeds
He'll eat
himself
for
for life.
lifetime.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
As you can tell, I'm not really versed on my Bible. It's been a few years. I've been out of the church, so yeah. But John, we are coming to the end, which I'm hating because I'm loving this conversation. You're
Oh,
dropping
no problem, man. Yeah.
gold after gold after gold. However, I have the single most important question
Hmm.
that I think most entrepreneurs need to be asked. What advice would you give your 10-year-old self? You had the opportunity to sit down with your
Hmm.
10-year-old self. What is that one piece of advice you want to give them?
Yeah. If I could go back and tell my 10-year-old self, man, um, don't be afraid. Learn how to conquer and tame your inward fears. Know that you are great, much greater than who you are today. Start early, you know. Believe that God has placed a very special gift in you, and that whatever desires that you have in your heart that you are able to accomplish. Um, for me, even though I started early, like I opened my I'm 33 now, so yeah, I'm still
You're a
I'm
young
still
gun.
young. Yeah, so I started my business in my late 20s, but I mean honestly, man, if I could have told my 10-year-old self something, I would have started it right after high school. No, seriously, like I would have started it right after high school because like you know even if I would have made terrible mistakes, I would have more time to like to fix those mistakes and then but entrepreneurship is just about experience. Like there's just some things you don't learn until you try.
Yeah.
And the earlier you try, the more chances you have at being successful.
I love it. John, that's some great advice to give to any 10-year-old self or any person of any age to learn how to conquer those fears. I'm going to jump off stage here, John. I want you to let my audience know where they can connect with you, where they can get a copy of your book or have you as a coach or check out if they can be a perfect fit for you. So the floor, sir, is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find more about me. I have a personal website for the coaching. It is johnclarkofficial.com. So it's JONCLARK official.com. And then I'm, like I said, I'm pretty, active on social media. So my Instagram is john.clark92. And then my architecture and engineering business is Community Solutions by Design. So you can Google us, and if you have projects or anything like that, feel free to definitely reach out. But thanks so much, and that's more about myself and where to find me at. And then the book, it's the Little Red Book guide for aspiring entrepreneurs, beginners, and small business owners, and you can get it now actually out on Amazon.
Amazing. John, I want to thank you very much for coming on. Coming on the show. I appreciate you dropping all that wisdom. I'm looking forward to re-listening to this episode and catching what I missed in our talk.
Well, Phil, man, I really appreciate you having me on your show. I'm delighted, and like I said, just here to add value.
Thank you so much. To my audience, you know the deal. The show notes down below will have everywhere you can connect to John, Instagram, his personal website, and of course, a link to the book so that you can have a little red book to become an entrepreneur. I thank you so much for listening. John, again, thank you for being here. And as always, remember to invest in yourself.
Thanks for tuning in. Now it's time to take the next step. When you're ready to dive deeper into how to launch, grow, and monetize your podcast, Phil's got something special for you. Join him for a free webinar where he'll reveal the 3 secrets that have helped countless entrepreneurs succeed in podcasting. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot, and let's turn your podcasting dreams into reality.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.